a big part of your argument was saying something about the support of the state of Israel is because if they didn't have a state, they wouldn't be able to continue their existence. Did Jews exist before the establishment of the state of Israel?
Yeah, but I'm clearly talking about the Jews who are currently in the region. If they fell and if they no longer had the protection of their state, they would probably cease existing, because that's what the other side promises. We have Jews around the world still who are outside of Israel.
How were the people there in order to establish a state in the first place?
Well, you have people who lived there, you have people who traveled there, who went from around the world there.
Right, so how does it logically follow that they're unable to continue their people without a state if they already continue their people?
I don't understand the question.
He's saying if they lived in all these other countries,
I
but
understand
Israel,
that. I don't understand the issue here. They specifically went there. The Zionist movement was specifically about how living as a Jew in these different countries throughout history has been very difficult, as we can all know and see. So when they went there, they wanted to establish a state where they can finally live in peace without being at the mercy of others. Now you have a large Jewish population in Israel. If Israel suddenly fell today, then the Jewish population that is there would be eradicated by the Islamists in the region. Now there would still be Jews left on the other side of the world, but that doesn't really take away from the fact.
It
doesn't take away from the fact that the Jews there would be extinct.
Logically follows what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so I can respond to this as well very quickly, because Ridvan's not going to. There's short circuit in him. So the question was actually a good question. The question was, wait a second, didn't Jews exist before there was an Israel? So how is it that even if Israel wasn't there, Jews would just stop existing? That makes no sense. Great question, right? Seems like it's a performative contradiction in his worldview, which is why he doesn't want to address it. Here's the truth, right? And nobody's calling for there to not be a state of Israel, by the way. But if we were to hypothetically even say that Israel was destroyed and Jews again had to disperse or were scattered, that doesn't mean that they would be Jews themselves would be destroyed. They would go back to other nations where they were before.
Now, here's the issue. I was actually answering a question, but if you let me speak without trying to interject every second, I would actually answer your question properly. Because I understand the question that you asked. The question you asked is, weren't Jews around before? Weren't they around before? How were they able to establish this land? Did their existence really depend on the land? If the land is destroyed, does that really mean they would all go extinct? And so on. Here's the issue. You have a significant part of the Jewish population that currently lives in the land of Israel. If the land of Israel would be destroyed, a significant part of the Jewish population would be eradicated. That means a small amount of Jewish people who are outside of Israel would of course still be left. As the amount of those who survived the massacre that would unfold, which Andrew Wilson here never actually acknowledges, would of course survive and run away. But do you really, how is it a reasonable or proper point to simply allow for that to happen instead of protecting those people when it is so clear,
that's a lie,
that the
Ridvan.
other side wants to eradicate them?
The majority of Jews don't live in Israel, Ridvan.
What does that matter?
Because you just said that it would take out a substantial part of the population. The majority, it's not even the majority of the population. That's the point. Nobody's calling for Israel to get wiped out at all. All I'm saying is that there's no ought for Christians to support a nation that wants to have Antichrist by at least 30% by your own admission.
So it depends on their numbers. That's very, very funny.
What?
We'll give you one last follow-up, and then we're going to go to the next question.
Yeah, you made a false statement.
And then I'll sit, but,
you made a false statement.
Neither Paul nor St. John Chrysostom places the Jewish people higher than any other non-Christians.
Yes, you did, Ridvan.
No.
Yes, you did.
All right, hold on. We got to give him a
I
chance.
never said they're more special than Orthodox.
Yes, you did. You said yes.
Will you let me speak?
Dude, no, but don't lie then.
All right,
I
let's
never
give.
said they're more important than Orthodox Christians. That's what I was saying.
You said God loved them more.
Because he keeps insisting that I said that.
You said God loved them more. I asked you point blank. You said yes.
Andrew, I'm clarifying it for you here right now. I never said, and I will never say, that God especially loves the Jewish people more than Orthodox Christians.
Then what is,
I never said
then
that.
What is?
What I clearly said, and you can go back and listen to this again and again.
Yes, we can.
I can make a clip, I can make a compilation out of this for you. I said again and again that they are more beloved, especially beloved among the non-Christians.
Do you remember when I asked you what that meant?
Or did I not say that?
Do you remember when I asked you
Yes,
what that
I said
meant?
it.
I want to go to the next.
Especially more beloved than the other non-Christians.
I want to go to the next.
Especially what I
other
said.
non-Christians.
I want to go to the next question.